I'm Mike Costello, and I'm here with Dr. Iris Freelander, and we'd like to talk to you today about living through dreams and visions. We all dream and we all have visions, but so often we're not able to apply those dreams and visions to the practical aspects of our lives. And so in the next few minutes, we'd like to explore with you some ideas and some concepts that may allow you to use your dreams and your visions in a positive and affirmative way. New Thought metaphysical philosophy is devoted to a belief system that we live in our minds and not in the world. And what that means simply is that life is filled with experiences, but the way that we think about those experiences determines the quality of our life. And dreams and visions really can open the door to our creativity, can't they, Iris?
Yes, they do. And we have to flow with that and not thwart it, and not think that it's something we shouldn't indulge in. And the old work ethic in America seemed to be, don't daydream. Mm-hmm. And I think that took away from a lot of creativity in the world and in our humanity, because we need to have time to daydream. We need to be able to just put a straw in our mouth and look up at the sky and see what we can see. And as we do, then great things happen in our lives. And I think most of our wonderful inventors have taken time just to be and to think things through. And many of them had different sleep patterns, so their brains must work differently than the average. But we need to honor our own needs and honor the fact that, yes, we do need time for ourselves and time alone, time apart from the hustle and bustle of life. And we need to honor that in other people too, and not always be. I remember my great-grandmother always had chores for everyone to do, and everyone complained because they couldn't be near her, that she didn't suggest something for them to do, and her suggestion wasn't just a suggestion. She expected it to be done. But I think that as time has gone on now, the young people are so involved when watching in sports, in watching TV, and they have a terribly structured agenda. So we need to get back to that. It seemed that at first we had the American work ethic, and then it relented a little, and then it goes back and forth. But right now, we need to let the children take time to daydream, don't you think so?
Absolutely. And it's through dreaming that we allow the creativity to come out of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And whether we look at it from a psychological standpoint or from a spiritual standpoint or just from a stress reduction standpoint, just to rest, this aspect of dreaming dreams. And I think you hit on a wonderful thing, and that is that we've decided that it's bad to daydream. And yet it's probably good to daydream. And it's good to daydream and then daydream, and it's good also to dream at night and to respond to our dreams, yeah. Although people can get a little too deep into that as well. And of course, a lot of psychologists have built counseling work around that. And we could do a whole program on that as well if we chose to, and a lot of spiritual people as well. But the dreaming aspect gets our creative juices, if you will. That's kind of maybe crass way, but gets the creative juices flowing and allows us to be creative. And then the vision and the visioning becomes so much an important part of that. Just a few weeks ago, and I appreciate you spoke for me at the church, because I was away doing an annual a business seminar that I do every year for a number of business people. And one of the topics that we spoke about was visioning. And this was a business group, and we were really dealing with middle managers and senior managers in creating an environment of vision. And what we spoke a lot about was that there's the kind of vision that we see, and we're all kind of in touch with that, and we're maybe too in touch with that. We see that things are the way they are, and we think that they're bad or they're complicated, or in our home lives, we think that we don't have enough money, or we don't have this, or we do have something else, or this world is not a peaceful place. And then there's the kind of vision that says, well, this is what I see, and do you see what I mean? And then there's also the vision of that which has not yet been manifest. And that's the kind of vision that connects and makes our dreams come alive. And if we're able to connect to that vision of that which has not yet come to be, then we can make our dreams animated, and we can, out of our dreams or out of our daydreamings and out of our creativity, allow the good and great things to become manifest and real in our lives. And that really has at its core the fact that if things aren't good, we can make them better. And we see beyond the kind of negative surface experiences, and they're real. That's the way it is. But then let's get on and do something that is fun and beneficial, not only for ourselves, but all of those around us. And it works in business, it works in families, it works in churches, it works in our personal lives, it works in good mental health. And I think we spend a lot of time in psychology, maybe too much time, looking at the past and rehashing it, and there are clinical reasons for that, but I think there comes a point in time when we need to just get beyond that and have a vision of something greater, and we need to have a vision of healing. And the vision of healing, whether it's mental healing or physical healing or spiritual healing, doesn't have to do with the way it is now. It's the way that we can be or the way that we want to be.
Yes, and this, the secret is keeping our consciousness in present time and daring to dream, and allowing our dreams to just take us wherever they want to take us. And because so many people think they have to be pragmatic in order to be productive and successful, well, that actually isn't the first factor. The first factor is in allowing ourselves to know how we want to be creative, and then following through on that creativity. And in the meditation meeting, when I lead groups of meditation meetings over a period of time, I always have one evening or more to help them develop their immensity consciousness. And I know the first time I did that was like more than 30 years ago. And I said, this evening we're going to develop our immensity consciousness. And everyone gasped and thought, well, that's really something. But it's just because it's put into words, because that's what we do all the time when we meditate and ask questions and receive answers. It's a matter of perception. People think that they can't. People sell themselves short so much because they think they can't do more than meets the eye. And there's ever so much more that's unseen, and half of life is really unseen. And so as we accept that fact and go with it and allow others that freedom, and I think in schools, in our public schools today, they really try to make the children fit a mold. And it's unfortunate that we have so many students and so few teachers comparatively, because then I think that might be that they could give the children more freedom to be creative and to be themselves and to respond individually and honor that individuality, because some children are so shy and timid or eager to please that they don't exercise that. And when they do, then they are the ones who turn out to be the successful ones in life, I think, don't you?
Absolutely. And we spend so much time in education, both in our structured formal educational settings, whether it's school or our home environments or our churches and places of worship, telling people what they can't do or what they shouldn't do, instead of telling them what they can do or what they may do or what they might do, and creating within them the liberating consciousness. And there's a wonderful theology today. Well, it's a little more complex than that, but the reality of liberation theology and the idea that there is a process of the divine which allows us to be liberated. Now, that's not to say, and I don't want people to think that we're promoting liberation theology, but there is this process that I think is at the groundswell level that reaches out and up to people and encourages us to be creative and to dream and to allow and honor others the ability to both dream and vision those things, the things that ought to be despite what appears, and stop talking about the things that can't be done. We spent enough time on that. I think during the Civil War, it's so that Abraham Lincoln, during one conversation, was listening to his advisors, and he was listening, and after an extended period of time, he said, I've heard all these things of people telling me what's wrong. Can't someone tell me what's right? And that's the kind of dreams and visions that we need to see what's right and to act upon what's right and to be able to create and make manifest in our own lives, in our own families, in our own homes, and in our own workplaces that liberating reality and truth. And it comes from that dream state and that visioning. And the vision always has to do with not that which we see in this experience right now, but it's there in the moment. It's in the now, but we don't see it fully and completely.
It all amounts to change, doesn't it? How well we accept change and how well we initiate change. And I know you're very good at initiating change to the chagrin of many people whose work you're responsible. But that is a wonderful thing because we need to change. And I've been, over the years, a part of various philanthropic organizations. And it's amazing how the older members who are older in age and also, but primarily older in having been a member longer than others, say we don't do it that way. And it always amazed me because I couldn't, and I still don't see how they can function in that way because they say we don't, and they hold the organization back. And I have, unfortunately, a rather unfortunate reputation for joining groups and staying for a time and leaving. Well, one reason I'm very happy to leave is because I don't want to be one of those older members who would tell others, no, this is how we do it. Because organizations grow through change and through the innovative ideas of many. And some might have a good idea, but they don't know how to make it grow. And then others know, and so they all work together in that way. But any organization that stays static, just as that, it stays static forever, doesn't it?
Stay static, and that's where you are, and that's where you'll be, and that becomes boring, and you're absolutely right. I love to make changes. I love to make changes. It doesn't matter whether it's changing the wall color or what it is. Someone once said to me, just when we think things are settled down to normal, you pull the rug out from under us, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And so we'd like to pause at this point in the program and allow you the opportunity to receive some information.
We would like to offer you the opportunity to receive one of these free booklets to further your understanding of the New Thought message of confident living. Each month we will feature a different booklet, which will be mailed to you free and postage paid. Simply address your request to Confident Living at P.O. Box 7726, Long Beach, California, 90807.
Before the break, we were talking about the need to embrace change, and that's a fundamental reality. The one constant truth about life is change, as we all know, and has been said over and over again. And if we're able to dream and vision within the context of a changing environment, then we're able to build and to grow and to expand and to become more than what we are today. And that, I think, is the great thing about the human experience and the spiritual experience, isn't it? To be more than we are today.
Yes, and that's how progress is enacted, isn't it? We have to have change in order to progress. And so when those persons who hold their families back and hold their groups and organizations back and hold back whatever they're involved in, then I would just impress on them to think how wonderful it is when they see change happening in the world, then it can happen in their own smaller world. And we each need to honor the need of others to make suggestions and to use to allow their dreams and visions to manifest. And again, when one person might have a good idea, but they don't know how to carry it forth, but then the group can then carry those ideas forth. And to follow your dream, it's, many movies have been made about that, and books have been written, but that's what the life is all about, isn't it? Is to have a dream and then follow that dream, regardless of what it is. And of course, I think that before we're born, we plan what we're going to accomplish in that given earth life. And with the help of those on the inner, our guardian angel and the Lord or angel of karma, and then we have that plan to follow light. It's a light plan for us to follow as a blueprint, as it were. And so when we're following that, then we're happy with what we're doing, regardless of how trying our time may seem to others. So, and it means then we're following our dreams and visions fully when others can't understand. So we need to honor other people's dreams and visions and their need to follow those. And life is so much more wonderful when we're able to do that, and when we value what people do.
It's an extension of valuing others. And as we value others, we say a lot about the relationship that we have with the divine, whatever that is. And by that, I mean the way we treat others and the way that we honor others has to do greatly with how we honor the divine and the infinite, some people, the presence of God, the faith traditions that we have, whatever name we put to it. And so many of us are afraid to dream with the divine, and we're afraid to have that connection with the divine, and then we're afraid to out of that dreaming, allow ourselves to have attainable visions, and sometimes the visions even, and the plan may seem unattainable. And in some cases, it may not be attained. And I'm thinking about different organizations and groups where we don't live to see the full manifestation, and that's great too. And I think from a biblical standpoint, we know, Moses didn't get to bring the people back. He got to bring them to a point, and then he went on to something else. And I don't know, we won't go into what he went, but he fulfilled his obligation. He fulfilled his dream and his vision. And then once he had fulfilled that, then his work was finished, and it was time for someone else. And we then allow the next group to pick up the baton and to pick up the responsibility and the vision, and then give them the ability to change it even. And as you know, in the organizations that we've been involved in, the churches, one of the things that I say so often is, I hope nobody ever says, well, but Mike said, because that's the worst thing. We don't ever want that, because the authority that we have is over ourselves and our own dreams and our own visions, and then it's time. Then we need to let other people have their time, and families are that way. I think we sometimes think that, well, the children aren't ready, and we're not quite ready to let go and let them have their own lives. Well, it's time to let them go and let them have their own lives. We do it at the bedside of those who are passing from this life into the next. We need to let them step forth into a new dimension. And that embracing change and that evolutionary process of dreaming dreams and visioning and letting those visions either be realized or take them to a point and say, this is as far as I can go, now you do something with it, is wonderful. And you touched upon the fact that you have a history of being with organizations and then going on. Hope you're not going anywhere for a long time. We've been together for a long time, but we need you desperately. But you reach that point, and then you let other people take those organizations and do what they need to do. And that is very much a way of your living the vision of your dreams by contributing what you can, and then you've done what you do and you move on.
That's right, and those are philanthropic organizations where various people come in and they want to use their ideas, and they should be allowed to use their ideas. And new people coming makes it stronger, and there's strength there in the newness of new ideas and new people working. And if anyone listening thinks of the organizations they know of that are more viable, most viable, those are the organizations that are. It's when they're allowed to do that. The new people are allowed to use their ideas and be more creative. I'm thinking of one organization here in Long Beach that I was a part of for possibly six or so years, and that organization has grown immeasurably. It grew during those years, but it's grown immeasurably subsequently, and it's because we laid the foundation, and new and wonderful things were allowed to happen, and then that's continued. And so those who are listening might look in their own lives and see if they've held family members back by saying, we don't do it that way, or in our family we do this and that. Well, that's not a very good idea. We should let everyone be creative. And I think the young parents today, and I've said this so often, are so wonderful because they allow their children to be themselves and to use their own ideas. Excuse me. And that's such a wonderful thing to see, because these children are going off in different directions that you wouldn't expect, and that their parents wouldn't expect, but the parents allow it, and that's such a marvelous thing.
And a hard thing for the parents sometimes. But very, very necessary. And along those lines, also, as you were speaking, I was thinking about a few people that I've had in counseling over the years who have continued even at the end of their life to want to control how their families and children spent the inheritance. And one of the things that I will often say, and then that's not to say that planning isn't a good thing, but I will often ask them, why is it that you feel you have to control life even from the grave? And it's so, because that detachment really sometimes, or the lack of detachment, or the lack of our willingness to detach from our own dreams and from our own vision and to release it and let it go, stifles the creativity of succeeding generations or organizations, or of the entire planet for that matter.
Exactly. And circumstances change. It's just like a war is becoming obsolete, and we shouldn't be having wars today, but we're having wars. And so there will come a time when we won't have wars anymore, and that will be such a wonderful way of life. And if we look back in time and see all the changes that have happened, we can catalog and clock all the each period of time where new and wonderful things happened. And we know that we're progressing. Our evolution is ever upward and onward. And so we just have wonderful things in store for us and opportunities in store for us. And so it's up to each of us, because we're all a part of each other, and we're all a part of Creator God. And we are co-creators with Creator God, because as God gave us free will, we then are His co-creators. But we need to ask ourselves, what am I creating? When we create our own reality, but what am I creating? And so if we, in our part of the world, and it's such a small, minute part that each of us occupy, reach out to others and do our best and allow others freedom, then the whole changes much more quickly. And that's the way we evolve, isn't it?
Absolutely. And in the last few minutes, we have this concept of co-creators, I think is something that may be different for some people from more traditional backgrounds, but in New Thought and metaphysics, it is a fundamental part of our philosophical base. And we do believe that we are co-creators with the infinite intelligence and divine intelligence and Creator God, if you will. And so that co-creation, that unity of our creative ability, one with another and one with the divine, makes us co-creators. And so we inherit the very nature of that divine reality, which is the essence of who we are. And that's the most profound of our dreams and visions, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it would be the worst thing we could ever do is to deprive another person of that privilege of co-creating each in their own right. and of holding them back and thwarting their progress. And then of also not having the courage of our own convictions to reach ahead and do that which we wish to do, regardless of what it is. It could be something that's very minute, but yet it's important in the overall scheme of things, and it's important that we do what we need to do and reach out.
And that's very fundamental to why, as a religious movement, as a spiritual movement, we don't have missionaries. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with those who do, but we're allowing people to move through the process of their spiritual development as their dreams are revealed and as their visions are revealed to them, and as their creative unfoldment and infoldment become a reality. And that's very important, that we allow people, that we honor that and honor the ability and respect other people's belief systems and traditions, and allow them to be where they are in a non-judgmental way. And that's so fundamental. And then, of course, just in the last couple of minutes, we've touched in this program again, as we often do, but the power of meditation in terms of developing our dream nature and our visioning. Meditation is just a wonderful connective exercise, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because we're talking to God and we're listening to God. When we pray first, we're talking to God, and then when we meditate, we're listening to God. We're listening to the divine giving us answers to the questions that we're asking and answers that we seek. And again, it's wonderfully rewarding to allow every other person to follow their own dream, to applaud every religion, because we know that every religious organization fulfills the need of those people who are drawn to it. And so in meditation, we are not working on that idea, but it's part of our consciousness that everyone else is free to do what we're doing, to seek the answers that we're seeking, and to ask the questions that we're asking, and to be assured in our heart that we will receive those answers, because we always do. If we expect to, we will receive them. And we're never sold short there. But it's just such a marvelous help to be able to go into meditation and get information and then use it. But then we have to use it, and we have to honor. The first thing that comes to mind would be what we would accept as being the answer to our question, and then keep going. And then just to sit in divine bliss. It's nothing enriches our lives more, I'm sure, than meditation. And sometimes people go into meditative states and they don't even realize that's what they're doing. Don't you think that's true?
Absolutely. And it is that ability to put ourselves in neutral that empowers us and connects us with our dreams and our visions. And we hope that the information that we've shared with you has been useful, and we look forward to seeing you next time.